Photography, harmonic motion imaging, pulse wave imaging, and targeted ultrasound therapy. In particular, research on the blood-brain barrier opening and cancer ablation and brain and nerve stimulation is important. Her research is supported by several close clinical collaborations with Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. The Elizabeth Papazoglou Inspire Leadership Award is given annually in memory of her. The award is given, quote, in recognition of an individual who demonstrates exceptional abilities to lead, serve, collaborate, and inspire with broad impact and special distinction. Please give a warm welcome to our most deserving recipient, Dr. Elisa Konifagu. And this is the award she's receiving, which is quite heavy, and I hope she can lift it. We'll put it up here for now so she can admire it.
We are in athletic center after all, right? So thank you, Dean Brent Ralph, and thank you, President Fry. It is a real pleasure to be here with you today on this beautiful day in the great city of Philadelphia and this great School of Biomedical Engineering, Science and Health Systems of the great Drexel University. I am extremely honored to be in the company of giants such as Peter Lewin and Banu Honorall, who continuously champion the field, the faculty and students that are in it, always with a vision of spreading their enthusiasm and advancing a rapidly expanding field. And it is a tremendous honor to receive the award that bears the name of my compatriot, Elizabeth Papazoglou, who has so generously advanced curricula and research in nanotechnology at Drexel. I fell in love with biomedical engineering when I was 12 years old. My mom had brought me and my brother to the United States from Greece for the summer while she was finishing her doctoral dissertation in economics in Boston. Knowing that I was interested in engineering, she arranged for us to visit MIT. I remember going to the library, that's how we Googled back then, browsing through the bulletin of the School of Engineering, literally stumbling upon biomedical engineering, listed as a minor under mechanical engineering. That blew my mind. I had never heard or even could fathom such a thing. It was the 80s and we didn't have cell phones back then to immortalize the moment, but it was definitely planted in my brain and has never left me. I was interested in engineering, but I was also intrigued by medicine. So this listing jumped out of the page and gave me a purpose. Here, I would like to add that you are graduating from the first, to my knowledge, fully independent School of Biomedical Engineering, which is truly unique on a global scale. My love for biomedical engineering continues to this day. We are a rare breed. We can be analytical, but also synthesize and combine knowledge from entirely orthogonal fields. We can learn how to program in C++, but also figure out downstream pathways and phosphorylation. We understand concepts from mechanics, such as yield strength, but also have the computer science savvy needed to develop deep learning algorithms for automated segmentation. Some say that this is not deep knowledge, no pun intended, but we can crunch a problem from different angles and get to the truth our way. And this is what the jobs of the future will require, more breadth with the capacity to integrate and bridge silos of knowledge. Success in a multidisciplinary field such as biomedical engineering requires sweating many disparate details and integrating them into a whole. For example, I never thought I was going to put my knowledge in biology or chemistry to much use because I always liked math and physics, a lot more, and I thought I needed to focus on those core skills exclusively. This turned out to be the wrong way around. Every single piece of knowledge is worth something. You may not put it to good use right away, but you will retain it and access it more times than you may think. Finding solutions to problems is, of course, at the core of what every engineer does. While most people will despair and rattle machines when they don't perform as they should, we roll up our sleeves and screw the frames and sometimes, or oftentimes, make them worse than they were before. At least at the beginning. But engineers, we are a tenacious bunch, and even though we may not always have the slickest computer or quietest engine, or even the most beautiful building on campus, we make sure that our it's true. We make sure that our creation works. Sorry, President. I realize. We make sure that our creation works somehow and that it does what it's supposed to do, with or without aesthetics. Besides the excitement and intellectual challenge inherent to engineering generally, a special delight in biomedical engineering is the ability to profoundly impact people's lives for the better. I have found that a desire to help people is a strong source of motivation running through the biomedical engineer's veins. A lot of us feel an urgency to push the science, and which springs directly from wanting to help loved ones that got sick, and by the fact that we wanted to do more than what was available to them. I want to share a story from my own life, which some of you may relate to. When I was finishing my PhD almost 20 years ago, my mom came to attend my defense. While she was very excited about being there and sharing this big moment with me, there was a dark cloud hanging over us both. She has had repeated mammograms that did not provide proper diagnosis for her suspicious lesion. Luckily, I was doing my PhD on breast cancer ultrasound imaging at the time and had access to one of the best cancer centers in the world, MD Anderson in Houston. I saw then firsthand the power of imaging, but also the power of the right clinician with the right tool in their hands. Although, don't get me wrong, when he said the words cancer, based on an ultrasound nonetheless, I wanted to grab him by the throat. But thanks to this timely detection and immediate treatment, my mom is a breast cancer survivor, and I look forward to celebrating 20 years from her diagnosis with her later this summer. My lab still develops new techniques for imaging and treatment of breast cancer. We work with ultrasound from imaging, everybody's first picture was a sonogram maybe here, right? To therapeutics. Ultrasound is truly a wonderful way that never disappoints. We also work to advance the fields of cardiology by developing techniques that show the mechanics and electrical function of the heart. We are developing new methods for early detection of cardiovascular abnormalities, such as infarction and stroke, and for localizing sources of arrhythmia. Because ultrasound is very suitable in biological tissues, mainly due to their very similar properties to water, we can also use it not only for imaging, but also as a treatment for breast cancer and brain diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. But I have also realized over the years that it is very important that we remind ourselves that our students crave a rich education, but also want to maintain a balance in their lives, that they can excel in what they do at the same time as enjoying what life has to give. As a starting assistant professor a few years back, I remember trying to attract students to my lab by describing my research, and one of them noted, "Yes, thank you for all this information, but I have a question. Are you married?" So I'm very fortunate that my husband and our 2 kids are sharing this moment with me today, and I have them in my life and creating all the support they can possibly ever imagine before. So in closing, first I would ask of you never to lose the empathy and humanity that made you into a biomedical engineer. The fact that you want to innovate techniques and methodologies to aid people through their sick days or improve the quality of life as survivors. When looking for your next gig or calling, do not fall into the trap of going for the highest paycheck. Try to keep that flame of helping others alive and do something that improves living for others and their environment. Second, I could stand here and tell you that once I had decided that biomedical engineering was my calling, that I had everything figured out from the get-go, that I was going to have an academic career, do research in ultrasound, and lead an academic laboratory in a top institution, or even picture myself delivering this speech before you. But this way of telling the story would be very far from the truth. Every step of the way, I found myself at crossroads with difficult choices to make. And I often ended up revising my plans and adapting my expectations to reality. This has been true in my career and life, and I would suggest that it will probably be true for you also, and to embrace that reality. So, drink in this moment. It's so fleeting. As you continue to chase the dream, pursue greatness, and get caught up in the adrenaline rush that comes with the chase, don't forget to maintain balance in your lives. Take time to relish in the accomplishments and draw strength from and thank the people around you and support you, like the families and friends that are with us today and have come from all the corners of the world. I know there are also a lot of international students here today, and having been an international PhD student myself, I know the burden that the families have endured to send their precious one to the other side of the earth and overcome sleepless nights and several time zones till they make sure that they have arrived and settled okay. So let's give a great applause to all parents, grandparents, caregivers, and friends who are with us today. I also want to give a shout out to all the ladies who are graduating. But also the lads that have worked and mentored women during their studies. It is the future, and biomedical engineering is leading the way with equal representation in both undergraduates and graduate studies. So let's make sure that translates soon to the workplace. I want to recognize that you have all reached a major milestone today in completing your degrees, but know also that this is the beginning of a new journey. Going forward is the task of finding out who you want to become next and how you can be at your most creative. Mine is after I have put everyone to bed and can sit down to think. So try to experience as many things as you can. Life is a journey, not the destination. As the great Greek poet Constantine Cavafis said in his well-known Ithaca poem, referring to Odyssey, he wrote, "As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Laestrygonians, Cyclops, angry Poseidon, don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way, as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body. So don't be afraid. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, like those who are with you today. Take on the world, it's yours." Congratulations, class of 2019.
On behalf of everyone here, on behalf of the school, I want to once again say thank you to you for that inspiring speech. Efaristo Pali. Now, it is time to individually recognize all of our graduates.